And welcome back to The Spread, NFL edition, week 12. Let's get this. Today we're going to talk about, can the Jacksonville Jaguars hang on to first place? Are we going to see the Chiefs finally explode on offense like we know them to be? What's going to happen with Baltimore? No more Mark Andrews. And then finally, who is going to come on top in that huge game in the NFL? Game of the week, Bills versus the Eagles. Before we get that far, my friends, we got to kick this thing off. Who had the sauce? Torchbearer sauce time. Accidentally healthy. Intentionally delicious. Who had it this week? Before we get to that, it's still grilling season, my friends. Get that sauce out. Get the grill out. You're going to love it. They got about 1 million flavors. Trust me. Use it once and you're hooked. So first guy who had the sauce, my guy, Jalen Ramsey. Huge game. Second game back from injury. And he had 2 picks in that game. Basically saved it for them. The Raiders were playing great. They threw that big pass at the end, and Ramsey made a catch that I think some of the top wide receivers in the NFL would have a tough time to make. Great catch, sealed the win. Sauce, my friend, enjoy it. Next gentleman who had it, pains me to say it, Josh Allen. He was fantastic against the Jets. 275 yards, 3 touchdowns. The offense was clicking. They were running the ball, but he has problems with turnovers. A lot of quarterbacks do, but he bounced back, played great. He's got the Bills back on track. Big game this week, so we'll see what happens. Now, let's close that bottle up because this guy's getting no sauce. Kenny Pickett got his OC fired. His numbers last week, 106 yards. Not the first quarter, not the second quarter. That's the entire game, 106 yards. 0 touchdowns. Major problem. They win because they play as a team, definitely not because of the offense, because I'm shocked they had the wins that they have. But Kenny Pickett, no sauce, really struggling this season. But, okay, let's close this out. We gave the sauce out. We took the sauce back. Here we go. Game 1. We got the 4 best bets this week for you guys. Jacksonville Jaguars, -1.5, going into Houston. Houston's favored by 40. It's over under 47.5. Now, first place is on the line here. Last time they met, Houston actually won 37-17 for those who don't remember, which is, I think that was the beginning of people saying, what's up with this Houston team? Houston's definitely the surprise of the year. CJ Stroud, incredible rookie of the year candidate. Going to probably have that sewn up. He's in MVP talks. Just been phenomenal. This week, just like last week, expect the Texans to lean on Devin Singletary. Last week, he had 22 carries, 112 yards, 5.1 a carry, and had a touchdown. Now, the last 3 wins, Houston's average 133 yards on the ground. And that's going to be huge because it's going to set up play action. It's going to give Stroud more time in the pocket, which every quarterback needs. Now, on the defensive side, this is important because Houston only gives up about 96 yards on the ground. And we'll kind of talk about that in a minute, why that's going to be important for this game. On the flip side, on Jacksonville's side, is this a game Lawrence can take over? Has he taken over any games this year where you just sat back and said, wow, this is a franchise quarterback? He gets a lot of, this pub, all this Riz. They think he's great. He thinks he's this and that. But can he really do it? Or is he just a stats QB? I'm going to take Houston in this game. But before we get to the actual pick, because of a few things, here's why. I think they're going to force Lawrence into some of his bad habits he's had since Clemson. Number 1, he loves holding that ball too long. Whether he's looking for the big play, the big throw downfield, or he has a tough time processing the defense is thrown at him, but he really holds on to that ball. And I think what's going to happen, he's going to get sacks too. It's just because he holds that ball so long. Now, I think what Houston's going to do, going back to the defense, I think they're going to slow the Jags running game just enough to win. Because as much as, like I said, from the outside, it looks like Lawrence can really just throw the football. They don't score a ton in Jacksonville. I think if Houston gets up, makes them play catch up, that's the type of football game Houston wants to play, and that's the one they're going to win. But for now, take Houston plus 1.5, or if you really want to, take Houston and take that money line. Next game, Kansas City Chiefs, -8.5, going into Las Vegas, playing the Raiders, over-under 43, great division game, great rivals. Kansas City's going on the road after last week's tough loss against Philly. Whether you want to call that a drop, an overthrow, they had that game. was a beautiful throw by Mahomes, but unfortunately lost. So on the flip side, the Raiders have been playing incredibly better than they did since McDaniels was fired. So obviously his leadership, his culture was a big issue there. Number two, the big question here, will this be the game where Kansas City finally gets back on track offensively? One glaring thing about them, red zone TDs. Kansas City's currently at 54%, which is okay in the league. Last year, the Super Bowl year, they were 71%. 71% of the times they got in the red zone, they scored a touchdown. Phenomenal. This year, not so much. It's a flip of a coin. I think a big part has to do with Kelsey's production has been way down in the red zone. And that's killing the Chiefs because, let's be honest too, some of these weapons they brought in post-Hill, Tyreek Hill, they haven't panned out. They haven't been a go-to receiver. I mean, they had huge drops on that drive, not just that big bomb that Mahomes threw. There's a couple other ones. The Raiders, they want to be physical. They want to run the football, and they want to have manageable third downs for their rookie O'Connell. Last week, Miami really shut down the running game, and I think that caused O'Connell to have a lot of problems because any defense in the NFL, if you're at 3rd and 8s all day, you're not going to be that successful. And the same thing goes for Kansas City. If you get in those 3rd and longs, they probably have the best blitz packages in the league. Now, with this game, I think Kansas City wins. I think Kansas City wins. They're going to be able to run the football a little bit. They're going to set up some play action. Mahomes should have a good day, but I like the Raiders with the points. Give me plus 8.5 here. The over-under, if you were going to take it, I would go over. I think the Raiders are actually going to score a little bit of points too. But let's get to the big game that everybody's talking to. Game of the week. Those damn Buffalo Bills going to the Philadelphia Eagles. Eagles -3 at home. And the over-under is 48.5. Huge win for the Eagles last week. They looked dead on the road. First, second, third quarters, Hurts didn't look that good. The running game struggled. The defense played so-so up to a certain point, and then they turned it on. The reverse, Buffalo, was a huge win to get back on track. Remember, before that Jets game, they fired Dorsey. They talked about, is the Super Bowl window closed for the Buffalo Bills? Typical media overreaction, but there was a lot of pressure on them. Buffalo came out, performed, played well. Now, Philly wins this game and covers if, it's a big if, the number one run defense shows up, that D-line harasses Allen all night, and Hurts doesn't do anything to lose the game. Those are going to be the big 3 keys right there. Now, the last 4 games at home, Philly's averaged 31 points a game. That's what they had to be on track for. They play very well at home, like most really good teams do. The Bills did get right last week against the Jets. We know that. So this week, can the Bills run the football enough just to give Allen success? Because if you're one-sided on offense against this Philadelphia defense, forget it. They're going to wear down your O-line. They're going to get constant pressure in your face. You're going to be in huge trouble. So that's one thing. You do not want to become one-dimensional against the Eagles. So the way I really see this breaking down, it'll be a very physical game. Buffalo, last couple of years with their resurgence back into being a dominant team in the AFC, they're all about physicality. But can they match Phillies? I just don't see that at home. Philly plays way too good at home. I mean, heck, they're 9-1. They play good everywhere. But at home, they're just a different team. Give me Philadelphia, -3, lock it in. And then finally, this is gonna be a fun game. I'm looking forward to this. Baltimore Ravens, -3.5, going into the Chargers, over/under 48.5. We got a huge story going into the game. Really stinks for Baltimore and the NFL. You hate to see talent get hurt. Mark Andrews, done for the year. Really opens up the biggest question there is. How is Lamar Jackson going to adjust when his best weapon on offense is gone? And really take that in consideration. Andrews had 6 touchdowns on the year. The closest player on that team in passing touchdowns, Nelson Aguilar. Half of you probably just said he still plays. Yes, he's still in the NFL. He has 3 touchdowns for Lamar Jackson. So Andrews is going to be missed. He's been Lamar's favorite target since Lamar was a rookie. So what's Baltimore going to do? Well, I think they're going to do what they do great, and that's rely on that running game. They're number 1 in the NFL, but will it be enough on the road? On the defensive side of the football, Ravens only allow, I think, 16 points a game. And with that elite defense, they can get after the quarterback. I think they got like 7 guys that can rush the quarterback consistently. For the Chargers to cover this game, it's very simple. They need to turn back the clock just a little bit. The game plan needs to mimic the game against the Jets. They were physical in that game. Coming into that game, the big criticism was They're more finesse team, the Chargers. Yes, they could run the football. They're really more finesse. They couldn't match the physicality. That was the difference in that game. The question is, can the Chargers do that now? Can the Chargers run the football? Can they limit Herbert for having to sit back there 40 times, 35 times and throw the football? That's going to be the big question. One thing we should talk about, Bosa's out. Going to be a gigantic loss. He anchors that defensive line. Great football player. The other question is, what are the matchups the Chargers can actually exploit? I think the opportunities are going to be that wide receiver group versus Baltimore secondary. If my friends, the Chargers can actually block and give Herbert some time. Now, Baltimore going out west, I'm leaning towards the Chargers here. Give me the plus 3.5. Give me the plus 3.5. I think it's going to be a closer game. Baltimore's got to travel. First game without Andrews or Lamar. I don't know if they're going to be clicking. I know they're going to want to get Gus the Bus Edwards going at running back and see if he can carry the offense a little bit. But let's lock that one in. Let's lock the Chargers in, plus 3.5. Now, my friends, it's time. Get that money out. It's easy money time. And we're going to do our two best bets. So the first one, give me the surprising Houston Texans this year. Give me the plus 1.5. They're going to win, and they're going to be in first place after Sunday. And then number two, give me the Philadelphia Eagles. Give me the -3 at home. And those, my friends, those are your locks of the week, your easy monies. But now you know what to do. Lock those bets in early and lock them in often. Hey, before you leave, do me a favor. I just need one quick favor. Like and subscribe. I'm loving seeing everybody's comments. Continue to comment. Who's your pick of the week? Who's your easy money? Who do you really love this week and think is a can't miss? As always, thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next week. Have a great one.